I had it situated and now it's messed up. Alright, I want to call this video a higher form of criticism. And what I have, they had a saying in the Marine Corps called being lost in the sauce. Now, if you have a whole bunch of books like this and you don't know anything about them, you can quickly get very lost in the sauce, as the Marines would say. So, you have this book, the Interlinear Bible, and this has the Hebrew and Greek words in it. There's some fancy writing here. That's Hebrew. And there's some fancy writing here in the New Testament. The New Testament's in Greek. And that's that fancy writing right there. And you want to get the one coded to Strong's. This is your tracking system. So you have all the words, and they all have numbers on them. So you can look up the numbers. Say, what? And if you get the Hebrew Greek Keyword Study Bible, or you get this Strong's Concordance right here, then you have a whole bunch of definitions you can look up, and then you can begin to understand words, which is what a dictionary is for. See, we're already entering into a, whoa, spiraling out of control with gratuitous amounts of information. So this right here, these two books right here would keep you busy the rest of your life, depending on how you wanted to study. The Interlinear Bible and the Strong's Concordance. So we have those now, and we're still staying in that realm of defining words. Now we have a Hebrew Greek keyword study. We have a dictionary of Latin and Greek words here by More and More. The Interlinear Bible there was by J.P. Green. So now we're doing a higher form of criticism instead of being lost in the sauce, because we're going to figure out how all of these things relate to each other. Well, they're all made out of languages, right? And characters. In the Hebrew, we have Aleph, Bet, Vet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zayin, Chet, Tet, Yod, Kaf, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Semakai, Pei, Fe, Shin, Sin, Tav. And there's a little song on the internet you can learn that with. And then you have Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, Epsilon, Zeta, Eta, Theta, Iota, Kappa, Lambda, Mu, Nu, Xi, Omicron, Pi, Rho, Sigma, Tau, Upsilon, Phi, Chi, Psi, Omega. And that's the ABCs of Hebrew and Greek. And now we have the ABCs of English. And then you can go buy a Latin dictionary from the store and you can learn a little bit. This one right here is great because it actually makes it applicable to our language and able to understand how much of this language we use. This is the Dictionary of Latin and Greek Origins. If you type in driven assembly, Dictionary of Latin and Greek Origins, you will find I've done videos on this. And what it's going to do is it's going to show you different words like gradi here. And it means to go, step, walk. And it will say grad and gress. And then it's going to show us a whole bunch of words. And it's going to capitalize that part of the word to show you how we use all of these Latin and Greek languages today in our language. If you get the 1828 dictionary by Noah Webster, he takes you back to the etymologies and tracks it across the English, the French, the Greek, the Latins, the Hebrew, and he'll show you where these words come from. If you go to Online Etymology Dictionary, you'll find that it will track the words for you down to the root, and it'll even show you whole pages of how the roots tie together. Incredible. Incredible. That's what we need. We need to learn how language even works. Because that's what they're programming us with inside of our heads, which is where Adam Nicholson comes in. And he wrote this book called God's Secretaries, The Making of the King James Bible, where he's going to explain to you how it was a political thing, just like the Council of Nice, where it was just a bunch of popular men getting together who controlled the Bureau, and they regulated how the information would come. Regulate, right? Rex. Rex Seclorum, King of the Sacrament, and Reg is different from Rex, but they're related in that it means a king. So you look at that up in David Williams' Paul Metaphors, and he'll explain to you how the Roman government was set up. And the Roman government is what became the church, and the church is just old Babylonian Nimrod and Adam worshipped before the flood, but God destroyed that system under Adam of men wanting to be king and all the wickedness and oppression that comes along with that. And then Nimrod resurrected that after the flood, and they started setting up their institutions again, their civilization and their high culture, and oppressing the so-called savages, the shepherd people. Amos says in the book of Amos, there's another book. Amos is a book. Jeremiah is a book. Isaiah is a book. And that's why the Bible is called the Bible, because biblio means a collection of books. So now we're looking at a collection of books, and we're looking at how these relate, just like the Bible is a collection of books, and we look at how those things relate. Light means true doctrine. Darkness means false doctrine. The false doctrine is related to man wanting to be king. That's why Jesus said, man cannot serve God and man. You can't have two masters, right? So we find in these books oftentimes that the writers had denominational preferences. So we can even enter that element of critiquing the authors. Not only do we have authors, we have authors' writings. We need to find out who these authors were and why they were writing. For example, the life and times of Jesus the Messiah, if I understand correctly, Edersheim was a Jew that converted to Roman Catholicism. So do you think he might write something through the eyes of a Jew or through a Roman Catholic? Yes. Is he going to write it true? We don't know. We have to study and look at what he wrote that was fact and what he wrote that might have a denominational preference. Because then we'll be right in the middle of a schism. In the book Leviathan by Thomas Hobbes, he explains how our conscience is 1,000 witnesses. And the 1,000 witnesses is an old proverb, he explains, because we have all of these ideas in our head, and when we read, all of that information is floating upon this sea of knowledge of interrelated meanings, of synonyms, antonyms, metaphors, and analogies, and idioms and idiomatic language, and the traditional language that we possess, which is a collection, which is the snowball of how we've got this information in this moment. There's only one moment we're existing in, and that's what the scripture is telling us, that there's a spiritual war going on between light and darkness, these evil angels and good angels, and God wanting to be, man wanting to be God, and then God being God, right? So we see that we have to do a lot of study and comparisons of information and learning, or at least listening, and trying to listen to good information versus information with a preference, which is going to show favoritism and partiality, and eventually is going to culminate in you giving someone your money, which is crazy. Why would people want to take your hard-earned money? And I mean, God willing, God will present us with chances to help the poorer people and to help people who need help. And I would never encourage someone not to help someone who needs help if they can help. And I mean, that's just helping your neighbor, right? I mean, the Samaritan didn't say, why did they rob this man and throw him in a ditch? No, he was in the ditch, he was bleeding out, he was wounded, and he takes him to the hotel and helps him, right? But not the self-righteous priest, not the self-righteous Levite. They just leave them laying there. It's a waste of time. Can't help them. Plus, we don't even know if that man's a believer or not, right? So, I mean, we try to help our enemies. We try to help people who need help, and we do what we can. But we also have to exercise some form of discernment, or else we'll be out on the street. We won't be able to support our kids and buy them clothes, and we wouldn't be able to pay our bills in this crazy system we have called capitalism, where we've been nationalized and we've been instructed by Mother Eve in the ways of, or the mother woman, because her name wasn't Eve yet, and man to go through the institutions and the curriculums to try to get rank so we can look better at other people's expense, which is not what the scripture tells us to do. And that's why we're looking at truth, we're looking at lies, we're trying to look through information and comb through information to be able to show someone how they can track words in the Bible for themselves. Do a word study using your Strong's Concordance, where you look at one word and see how it's used all through the Bible. And then you'll see that there's different numbers beside it, so they used a bunch of different Hebrew and Greek words sometimes on the same English word, which can get very confusing. Can be discouraging sometimes and disheartening to try to even explain this to people, because you're trying to help them find orders and not get into a bigger mess than we already are in this planet, as people try to control us, control our families, control our neighbors, and just brainwash us into tradition and habit, which is why it's better to find the poor, the lame, the maimed, and the blind, because they can't help themselves. And so I hope that this helps, and I hope that this is a beneficial video explaining the higher criticism and not getting lost in the sauce. So I hope that helps, and see you on the next video.